In the meantime, James, let's go ahead and talk about some depth chart here. We talked about our top 25 players earlier in the show, or I should say your top 25 players earlier in the show. We'll break this down by position here, starting with the quarterback spot. And Wilton Speight, but then John O'Corn over Brandon Peters.
Yeah, so we've got, Speight is your starter, that is in stone right now. Don't let any of these people say it's still a battle. It's not a battle. But John O'Corn has separated himself from Brandon Peters. I think we're still in that situation, though. If it's a long-term injury to Speight, you're going to see Peters get the go because he's your long-term guy. Alex Malzone really has no place in this program anymore, but he's getting the nod over McCaffrey because there's no reason to not redshirt McCaffrey when you've got 3 players above him right now. So that's your quarterbacks. It's Speight 100%, though.
And then towards the halfback spot, and we have this broken up into 2 different pages here. Yeah. Those are your top 4 guys right now.
Yeah, I mean, Karan Higdon is it's funny, out of these guys, Isaac and Walker were consensus 5-star running backs going to their senior years of high school. I think Walker ended up being a 4-star because of his poor performance down the stretch, but 2 5-stars there. Isaac, went to USC originally, transferred to Michigan after the season.
Supposed to be the next USC halfback.
Yeah, exactly. But, they're getting outplayed by a couple lowly 3-stars in Karan Higdon and Chris Evans. Evans will get most of the carries. I expect him to get 16 to 18 a game. I think you'll see Higdon gets 6 to 10, and then Isaac and Walker will be spattered in there. I do think Isaac will get more play in the passing game than any of these guys.
I did quickly here to page 2 of the depth chart here with some of the younger guys, Samuels, Kingston Davis, and Kurt Taylor.
Yeah, Kurt Taylor, just one note, is a guy, he is the smallest football player on Michigan's team, but a guy Jim Harbaugh really likes as far as a heart guy. Not sure he's ever going to get much play, but just a guy Harbaugh talks a lot. He's a grit guy, Tom.
And then TD machine here.
One person to talk about on this list, and that's not Kyle Hill. It's Ben Mason. Harbaugh has not talked about a true freshman in his 3 years at Michigan, or as far as I can tell in his college career, like he's talked about Ben Mason, an under-recruited guy from the state of Connecticut, came in as a linebacker. Harbaugh says he hits harder than any player he's ever been around at a fullback position, pro or college. So I think he's going to play as a true freshman. I think he's going to get more of those snaps in the true I formation than Kyle Hill will.
And then receiver here, Crawford, Peoples-Jones, and then a bunch of other freshmen too.
Yeah, and we don't really have to go much past this first list. These are your 4 split-out wide receivers. It's Kakoa Crawford and then 3 true freshmen. Nico Collins will be on the second screen, but he'll get some play right now. But right now it's these 3 guys, Crawford and Donovan Peoples-Jones, with Black being the guy who will be in there in more 3 wide sets or 4 wide sets. And then we click over to the slot. People will be saying, "Oh, where's Grant Perry?" Well, Tom, he is actually a criminal now, but Michigan has reinstated him, so there's been a little bit of controversy there. But he did have criminal charges, missed games, was suspended from the team all offseason, did not go to Rome. But him and Eddie McDoom are a guy that played a lot of snaps. McDoom last year as a true freshman, and Perry for the last 2 seasons under Jim Harbaugh. So I think Michigan's really strong at the slot position. Maurice Ways is a guy who will get a few snaps, but don't expect much out of him. And then the surprise here, we talked a little bit before, Ian Bunting is your starter at tight end. I think we'll see Ty Wheatley in there as well. Sean McKeon is another one. And these all guys, this group right here fits the role of a lot of those Stanford teams where it's like the 6'5" white guy that can go downfield. Then you've got Ty, I think everybody at Wheatley is the same exact size, build, speed, and Bunting just maybe has a little bit better hands. Then Tyron Wheatley is more of your offensive lineman who can run a 4.6 or 4.7 and catch the ball.
His size and speed shouldn't be a thing. Like, he's so huge, but he's also pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. Really I think there was a few people that thought he'd move to left tackle at some point, but disappointing. I think I expected Wheatley to take the role, but I just don't think that he is blocking as well as they expect him to do, even with his size. Yeah.
Head to the offensive line here. Your starters right now are Mason Cole and Jawan Bushell-Beatty.
Yeah, so again, I thought that maybe Chuck Filiaga would get a starting role. I'm sorry, that's on the inside. So Cole and Bushell-Beatty on the outside at your right tackle, left tackle, backed up. John Runyon Jr. was making a play at that right tackle position, but ultimately I think Bushell-Beatty is going to win it out.
That job's still not really over yet, though.
Not really over. The offensive line, I think outside of Bredesen and Cole, all these roles are still being fought for the last 2 weeks of fall camp.
And then we'll head to some other offensive tackles here. This is kind of more of the backups, the guys that aren't going to play a whole lot, ideally.
Yeah, don't expect much out of all these guys. A lot of freshmen, redshirt freshmen here this year. I actually don't, Tom, because of the some of the folks they've got coming in future classes and the youngness or the inexperience of some of the starters. I don't expect many of these guys to ever get snaps from Michigan that we're showing here. Yeah.
And head here to the offensive guard center, the third page here for the most part, and
Yeah, Patrick Kugler, interesting one. His dad's a longtime NFL coach, O-line coach for the Steelers. I'm not sure if he's still there, but he's one of these, not realized expectations for Michigan. Bounced around the O-line for 4 years, but I think he's going to get that starting position as center. He's going to have to fight off true freshman Cesar Ruiz, the best center in the country, coming out of IMG Academy in Florida this past season. And then Michael Onwenu lost 40 pounds, is going to get your nod at right guard, and then Bredesen at left guard. But still an opportunity for Filiaga or Ruiz. I think if anybody is unseated in this offensive line, it's Filiaga taking Juwan Bushell-Beatty's position there at right tackle. And then Ruiz, I could see him taking Kugler's role. I mean, you underperformed for 4 years, Kugler. Don't expect to to fight off a guy like Ruiz, who everyone is saying is the next star of Michigan's offensive line.
Defensive line here as we switch sides of the ball, and these are your top 4 guys at defensive tackle this year. The depth was there last year. You lose 4 starters up front, now it becomes a little bit thinner, even though the rotation last year was really, really good.
Yeah, really good, and so you're going to get a lot of snaps for Hurst and Monet, but Aubrey Solomon, he's showed up on Michigan's Twitter account a few times, just crushing some people, breaking off tacklers, tackling a running back. So I expect Solomon to be this year's Rashan Gary. He's basically as good as a starter by the end of the year, and will probably slide into a starting role next year to replace Mo Hurst, or even maybe Brian Monet decide, depending on how they do. Michael Dwumfour got some hype last year before the season. Ultimately didn't. I think he might have taken a snap in a game, but ultimately they got the red shirt for him. But I don't expect a ton from him throughout his career at Michigan.
And some other depth pieces at defensive tackle probably aren't going to make any real impact.
Yeah, James Hudson's one I think that could kind of break into that top 4 in the inside throughout the year. But I don't think he's going to redshirt. But Deron Irving Bay will redshirt. But he's a local Michigan guy that got a little bit of play. Not a top 100 guy or anything though.
Defensive end, and there's the boy this year, Rashan Gary.
Yeah, Rashan Gary. Chase Winovich also is one that he just has got a motor off the ball. You snap the ball, he's flying into the backfield. But Jim Harbaugh has talked a lot about Carlo Kemp as a kind of a next star as a defensive end. But Kemp and Jeter, I don't think Donovan Jeter, who is a very highly rated recruit, is going to redshirt. So you're going to have some depth there. But this whole defensive line, really young guys, but they got a lot of experience last year, and you've got the one senior in Hurst.
And then kind of some more backups here at defensive end, some young pieces too.
Yeah, Luigi Villain is one that I think is a future. I don't think he's going to redshirt this year. I think of these guys in the second list, this third list, he's the one that can be the biggest star down the road.
Awesome name, by the way.
Yeah, of course. It's a great name.
Heading out to linebacker, where it's a little bit thinner. Interesting depth chart here. We got Devin Bush, Mike McCray, and then we actually have here Josh Metellus is not going to be the linebacker. That's going to be Kaliki Hudson.
Oh yeah, so typo on our end, so apologize. So we'll get that fixed. But so it's Kaliki Hudson. I may have made that mistake. You never know what's going on with these things. But Bush and McCray, I think, are your more proven entities. They got more snaps last year, and Metellus is going to play all over. I think you can see him blitzing from the Hudson from the outside. I think you could see him covering wide receivers and slot wide receivers, just like Peppers did last year. So
Mini Jabril.
Mini Jabril, not as athletic, not going to be taking snaps under center like Jabril did, but I'm pretty satisfied with the linebacker stand this year. I think this is a group you can build around long term and really be, not even talking about 2 highly rated freshmen that we'll show here in this next screen that are going to get a lot of snaps this year. So I expect that Jordan Anthony and Drew Singleton, depending on what recruiting services, both these guys at some point in their senior year were 5-star linebackers. Anthony missed his entire senior season from Paramus Catholic that produced Rashan Gary and Jabril Peppers. So he was a 5-star as a junior, missed his whole senior season. They bumped him back to about the 80th player in the country, but he's back and healthy. Drew Singleton, Jordan Anthony from IMG was a 5-star by most services.
Let's head to cornerback in the secondary, where it's a little bit more precarious this year for Michigan.
Yeah, and so Ambry Thomas is the one maybe unknown. He's a guy who came in as an early enrollee. I think he could get some snaps and challenge Hill and Long, who are just true sophomores, maybe only a semester more experience, because they were not early enrollees in 2016. So Ambry Thomas is the wild card here. I don't know what to expect of Hill and Long. They didn't, Michigan had 2 senior starters last year, but these guys didn't get really any snaps at all. So why did they get? It's not like the defensive line; they weren't rotating these guys in at all. So it's kind of a black box going into it. I've heard a lot that Michigan's really concerned if that defensive line doesn't get pressure, that this offense could get, or this secondary could get torn up by a good quarterback. Luckily, Michigan doesn't face a ton of those this year. And then Benjamin St. Jude juiced is a guy. He's 6'3", pushing 6'4" time as a guy, and he was a guy who came to Michigan's 2016 class out of Canada. Had to reclassify, went back to school for a year, and so he's a little older. He's 20 years old now. He can make a play as maybe not a real true freshman. He's more like a junior almost. Yeah.
And then Drake Harris has switched from receiver to cornerback.
Yeah, you know, tell you what, this is one of the more disappointing players in recent memory for me as a Michigan fan, because I think you thought him coming in 3 or 4 years ago that he was going to be like your next star wide receiver, and now he's just like the number 6 corner. He's not going to get any play. I wouldn't be surprised if he did a fifth-year senior next year, went to a place like Central Michigan and go back to wide receiver. He just got passed up by all these true freshmen this year in the spring.
And then the safety spots, and this is where I think I'm actually more concerned about safety than cornerback.
Yeah, I mean, Tyree Cannell has been around for a while. He's a Brady Hoke recruit all in, but he made a lot of plays. He got the most snaps out of any of these guys last year. And Metellus, I think he's of any new starter coming in, I think he's gotten the least amount of snaps of any first-year starter this year, last year. So that entire secondary, it's risky this year. I'm not sure what to expect.
And then the other Glasgow. There's another one.
Listen, I actually think there's about 6 or 7 more Glasgows out there. I haven't got to the bottom of where they all come from, but like they come into Michigan as walk-ons.
Glasgow and a mommy Glasgow love each other very much.
Exactly, and they do love each other. And they go to the NFL. I mean, his brother is starting on the Lions, I believe, right? Another one just got drafted.
Bengals drafted him this year.
Yeah, for sure. So, the secondary is your weak spot. But if anything, Don Brown plays that press defense, puts those guys on island, and gets after the quarterback. So they're going to have to grow up in a hurry.
And then special teams, kind of the last thing on our list here. It's a young group back there.
Yeah, very young group. Nate Johnson's not a guy most Michigan fans are too familiar with. He's kind of an under-thought of wide receiver, but he's kind of stepped up as your kick returner and your punt returner. Chris Evans, starting running back, is going to be the other kick returner most likely. Some other guys that'll get play in there. Donovan Peoples-Jones, I expect to take some kick returns at some point. Quinn Nordine, the famed sleepover kicker, is your starter. And then true freshman Brad Robbins is going to be the starting punter, and some people expect him to maybe redshirt.
Well, once again, I'm Tom Downey. Alongside me, James Yoder, as we're pretending to be the Blues Brothers today. It was not on purpose.
Not pretending, Tom. We are the Blues Brothers.
Producer Brett Scott is not wearing blue, which is probably good on his part. It makes us seem less weird.
Yeah.
But